The 94th Ag Outlook Forum is wrapping up in Washington, D.C., and like most years, the economic and acreage updates attract the most attention. RFD-TV's Sarah Mock has the latest on those numbers.
Well, the Ag Outlook Forum here just outside of Washington has been making news and getting folks excited about the year ahead 2018. We're lucky enough to be joined by Dr. Rob Johansson. He is the chief economist at the USDA and wears a number of hats. Rob, what are the big takeaways from the last couple of days' events?
Well, we had a great panel yesterday. Hopefully your viewers saw that, your listeners saw that. Looking at the numbers from what our projections are from an economic standpoint, which a lot of people were looking at today and yesterday, of course, we do project that real farm income is likely to, over the next 10 years, is likely to go up slightly. When we look at inflation, though, that indicates that we're likely to see a little bit lower income over that long time period. In the near term, of course, in 2018, our projections are also that farm income is going to come down a little bit. Net farm income coming in at around $60 billion, so that's down from its historic highs that we saw only a couple years ago, down from about $120 billion then. So we're down about 50%, and I know farmers are concerned about that. We know that producers are borrowing more money. We know that interest rates are going up a little bit, so that's going to put pressure on the bottom line. When we look at sort of the sector by sector side, we know that cotton producers are, borrowing a lot more money than other producers. Same on the dairy side. We see that there are some positive outlooks too in the forecast. We do see a little bit higher prices for corn, a little bit higher prices for wheat, and of course wheat's been under pressure for the last couple of years. See acreage for wheat going up slightly this year. For corn and soybeans, we're at 90 million acres each, so 180 together. And that's likely going back to more of a corn bean type of rotation that we're used to seeing essentially before 2007 when the renewable fuel standard was enacted. So a little bit of news for everybody.
USDA's projections are based on what information we do know. There's lots of information we don't know.
That's right.
I'm curious, what are the big events that you're watching out for this year? Maybe you can speak a little bit to that, to trade, as you mentioned.
Yeah.
Specifically, how things like what China's done with sorghum, what they could possibly do with soybeans, how that could affect farmers going forward.
Well, sure. Of course, we're always watching trade with our NAFTA partners in China are our three biggest trading destinations for U.S. commodities. So anything that affects trade with those three countries is going to be vitally important for U.S. producers. So we're obviously going to be watching developments on those. China has had some of their foreign policies and some of their trade policies have been a little bit difficult for our exporters to account for in their expectations. They've done some actions against, of course, for GM corn in the past, as well as some actions against DDGs, some action against ethanol. Of course, we're happy to get beef back into China. We're happy to get rice into China.
Well, a lot of great information there from Dr. Rob Johansson. He's the chief economist at the USDA. Thanks again for joining us, Rob. We'll have more updates from the Ag Outlook Forum here outside of Washington later next week. Until then, back to you in the studio.
Thank you, Sarah. Now, the USDA also asks farmers to be on the lookout for prospective planting surveys. That information is the basis of the agency's prospective planting report, which will be